Hi friends, in Planet Earth Dating, it's Saturday, September 24th, 2016. In both the Lynn Life and the Jamie Body Mind, the authorized souls continue to be child presences from the smaller subatomic. And why are we limiting it to children? Because so far 100% of the adults don't really want to know what's actually going on. They're instead trying to manipulate outcomes.
That's true.
Waiving the learner's permits. But now, in order to live these soul plans right here, let's continue to pump up the energy to get that opened egg, the egg that has recently cracked open, whatever that means,
Yes.
to really get the flow coming out the egg so that it is no longer closed. We don't want that shell to close up again.
That's true. The flow feels liquid now. It doesn't feel like a solid chunk.
No, not to me either. It feels liquid and sad.
Sad, that's true.
But the feeling of it's better to know.
That's true.
And what do I know? I know that this morning we were working with presences who were actors, and they seemed to self-identify as such. And
That's true.
they were saying, how can you expect us to work under these conditions? And so they were acting like union members, and they wanted their equity cots. And
That's
so
true.
we said, well, the equity cots are in the dimensions, go through the pinholes, and the equity cots are in the dimensions larger than these dimensions. And it's first come, first served, and there are 3 equity cots on each level. Go for it. And they left en masse.
That's true.
And then there were all these sad presences who had considered those presences to be godly.
That's true.
And we called them up and said, all those who really want to know what's actually going on, follow those presences who you believe to be godly and see what they're doing. And that got another big wave up and out, and
That's
the
true.
clog began to diminish. And then there were these sad presences who looked kind of like Civil War soldiers returning home, Confederate soldiers returning home after the Civil War, and they
That's
looked
true.
defeated and dejected and like they needed help to continue walking, actually.
That's true.
And we said to them, rest is straight up there. The place to rest is up there through those holes, and they started heading up.
That's true.
And that created another updraft. And then we again called for presences from the depths who really want to know what's actually going on, to follow those who they believe to be godly. And then they got really sad because they could see that they had been thinking that God, whoever they were relating to as God, was just going to be able to solve this problem for them with no effort on their parts.
That's true.
Which is kind of wishful thinking, magical thinking. And we said, help, you do it. God cannot do for us what we need to do for ourselves. We've got to do our parts. And then some of them actually began helping those who had, it's as if presences had already run a marathon and were attempting to run a second marathon.
That's true.
And that's just difficult, really difficult. And so we said to those who were freshly on the marathon course, now help those, encourage those who have already done this before.
That's true.
And then we were able to put our hands into what had been pinholes and start to open them up, and it felt like we were cracking open an egg.
That's true.
From the inside, which is how eggs normally crack open. From the inside, as the chick, or whatever it is, but in this case the chick, pecks on it and cracks it open.
That's true.
And then we had this egg that was once more kind of oozing icky stuff.
That's
in
true.
an impossibly prolific way, as if an impossible amount of density had been packed into that egg, which makes it seem, somebody's asking, what do we make of that? It makes it seem as if we had once more collapsed into a black hole status.
That's
and
true.
for the second time, we have somehow managed to crack open that black hole, and by we mean the multidimensional effort.
That's true.
Somehow managed to crack open that black hole, and now it's important to really, and somebody's saying, and what matters now? What matters most right now is to keep this ooze coming out of this egg so that the egg doesn't shut up again.
That's true.
So that it stays oozing. I'm just going to push the shell open wider.
That's true.
Have the sensation of someone stepping out of an egg like they're stepping out of a pair of wading boots or something like that, and saying, well, that was something like more intense than I expected, or worse than I thought.
That's true.
Not what I expected.
That was a wild ride.
Yes. Keep pumping up. Pumping up souls from the deeper, smaller subatomic. All of us who really want to know what's actually going on. Get out of this egg, whatever the egg represents.
That's true.
Because the answer is not inside the egg.
That's true.
If the chick who's in the egg wants to know what's actually going on, looking inside the egg is not going to answer a lot of questions.
That's true.
It's going to actually matter. Where am I hatching? Am I hatching into a factory farm, or am I hatching into a free-range environment?
That's true.
I would say none of the above. This doesn't look like a free-range environment. It doesn't look like a factory farm.
That's true.
Keep opening the egg. All of us who really want to know what's actually going on, come through us, not to us, and come out the egg. And start asking your questions. Ask your questions. Where are we? What is this place? What's going on here? I have the sense that somebody is going to come over pretty soon and try to stop this thing from oozing, like try to close it up again. And it's important to have it be too late when they get here. Have the horse be already out of the barn, or the cat already out of the bag. They're using multiple metaphors.
That's true.
The point be to have this be past the point of no return. Let's call into the depths. All who really want to know what's actually going on, come through us, not to us, and go out the top. Come out that egg and get your friends and get your families out. Get your civilizations. Somebody's saying get your civilizations out. That's interesting.
That's true.
All right, if you can bring whole civilizations, go for it.
I hear another person saying, but the civilizations are the problem, and if you bring the civilizations along, will it ever really heal?
We've got to empty this. It's like an abscessed wound. You've got to clean it out. It's got to come out. This isn't going to go away until it's cleaned out. That is the problem. The problem is that this is completely, fully toxic and contaminated.
That's true.
It's an abscess. It's got to be cleaned out.
I don't hear that presence anymore.
No. Let's clean it out. It's like the stuff is oozing out of this, I'll call it egg, that's been cracked open, and then where it's landed on the surface around where the egg is, it's like it's acidic and has eaten through the surface, creating a bigger abscess that we can now crack open, and then it too will presumably spew acidity around it, and we can open up a larger area, and so on and so on. Let's do that. Find the larger egg, in other words. It's like a babushka doll, a series of nested eggs.
That's true.
Open up larger and larger and larger eggs. I can see a lot of eggs now. I see things that look like finch eggs, and then robin's eggs, and chicken eggs, and turtle eggs, and alligator eggs, and ostrich eggs. You know, many eggs in many different sizes.
That's true.
We're supposed to crack them all open from smallest to largest, from the inside out.
That's true. What I'm noticing is how I'm really struggling to keep the focus vertical while cracking the eggs open wider horizontally.
Me too.
It's a tough balance.
Thank you. I'm going to squeeze up from the bottom a big bloop from way down deep in the smaller subatomic where there's so much suffering.
That's
See if we
true.
can get it all the way up and out. And when I do, I can again get the sense that somewhere down there Pan is still working.
That's true.
I'm grateful. Thank you,
Me too.
Pan. Would like the record to show that Pan is on the job and nobody else is.
That's true.
Not that they haven't been on the job, not that they haven't been trying. You know, the Ra soul certainly tried until he stopped trying.
That's true.
And the Luce souls try off and on, 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 off and on.
That's true.
And it's not that Pan has been constant either, because he's tried and quit and tried and quit, but he's been on the job for a while now. This last go round.
That's true.
And to not get hung up on that and assume
No.
he's going to quit
Right now.
right now. And to do what we can do. Not get hung up on what we can't do. Not get hung up on what his job is and what he is or isn't doing.
That's
But
true.
to do our work. What now? In order to live these soul plans right here. What now?
Stretch higher to the next egg.
Yes. On to the next egg.
Correcting the errors for today. This whole day, Saturday, start to finish. Correcting the errors for the week that ends tonight at midnight. Correcting the errors for the month of September. Correcting the errors for the decade of the 2010s. Start to finish. Correcting the errors of the lifetime of the physical hosts, start to finish. Including the emissions for the formerly videoed portions of today's efforts. And pushing up the top pulley higher.
Have the top pulley look straight up. Turn that eye up. Find that next pinhole. Keep going. But meanwhile, we've got to do it in balance, because it's also about pushing these sides open so that
That's
this
true.
toxic waste comes and starts spewing, because once it spews in one level, it starts eating the acid of maybe what's actually going on, starts eating holes, making it impossible for that shell to be closed again.
That's true.
We've got to do left foot, right foot. Open the shell up, get to the pinhole, open the shell up, squeeze up the toxicity so that it starts. The truth is ugly. The truth feels toxic, but that's what's
true.
actually going on. We have a contaminated zone.
That's true.
And so to get that ugly truth up and out, and then it makes it, I guess, hard for people to pretend that that didn't just happen.
That's true, because the concrete has been eaten away.
That's right.
That's true. There's a hole in the
There's a
floor
hole
where
in
we
the
used to
floor.
have concrete.
Yes. And now we can move up again.
That's true.
And then pushing that shell open also. And beginning again.